A lot can change in 30 years.
सबसे बड़ी बात हुई कि वाटरियन का अप्रोच जो है वो चेंज हुआ। जब वाटरशेड की बात करते थे तो मैं ऐसा कहूँगा कि जो ह्यूमन बीइंग है वो सेंट्रिक थे हमारे, लेकिन आहिस्ता आहिस्ता जैसे पता चला तो जितने भी हम काम कर रहे हैं वहाँ खुद की एक इकोसिस्टम हम रिस्टोर कर रहे हैं।
The Watershed Organization Trust, called WATER for short, started out back in 1993 to help villagers in drought-prone areas of Maharashtra prevent soil erosion and access water for their livelihoods. Now, 3 decades later, the organization's main focus is ecosystem-based adaptation, essentially restoring ecosystems to help communities deal with the impacts of climate change. That's a pretty big shift from being focused primarily on people to actually starting to see people as just one part of a much larger picture. So, how did that come to be?
Well, that's a real story also.
Welcome to In Our Nature, a podcast by the Ecobari Collaborative that uncovers what we need to do to protect ecosystems so that they can protect us. I'm your host, Isha, and in this series, we explore our deep connections with the natural world and how restoring nature can help us adapt to climate change. Ecobari is a shared initiative of 9 founding partners and is convened by the Watershed Organization Trust. Our 6th and final episode in this series is about water itself. In particular, about how and why the idea of ecosystem-based adaptation took hold within the organization.
You know, the first time I went to a village to talk to the people about watershed development, I recall a woman lifting up her child and she says, "How do I feed my child?"
Marcela D'Souza is the director of Water's research vertical, the Water Center for Resilience Studies, or WCRES. And she's been a part of Water since its early days. She started her career as an allopathic doctor, but during a posting in rural Maharashtra, realized that people didn't even have the basics: clean water and enough food to eat.
My keen interest on addressing nutrition and giving them clean water so that they wouldn't have to suffer from intestinal infections, which was very common, that fitted very well into the whole perspective of watershed development.
Marcela says she wanted to address the core problem at hand, rather than prescribing medication as a band-aid solution. And it seemed like water was the key constraint.
When I would travel to the villages, during the monsoon season, there would be floods. We would be stuck on either side of the river, because it was flooded, and we would be stuck for hours. But come the summer season, there was no water in the villages. So it was always a question of what's happening to the water? You're getting good rains, but you don't have water.
So access to water through watershed development was really the starting point.
शुरुआत एक्चुअली वाटर की इंडो जर्मन वाटरशेड डेवलपमेंट के प्रोग्राम के तहत हुई थी। तो पहले 10 साल जो थे वाटर ने उस प्रोग्राम को आगे ले जाने में बहुत सारा कंट्रीब्यूशन किया था।
Abhijit Kothikar, the regional manager for Water's work in Dharashiv, an aspirational district in Maharashtra, has been a part of the team for the last 22 years.
और ये फील्ड जो है बेसिकली कम्युनिटी मोबिलाइजेशन या कम्युनिटी के साथ काम करना, इसमें एक लाइवनेस है। और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण बात ये मुझे पता चली कि जो मुझे कठिनाई है या जो मुझे कठिनाई महसूस होती है उसमें काम करने में मज़ा आता है बेसिकली।
Abhijit joined just as Water was going through something of an internal shift.
For me, I look at that period of 2000 to 2003 as a crisis, and I'm calling crisis as a turning point.
And a big part of that crisis was something that the team at the time couldn't fully understand.
What was one of the big indicators for us whether our work in watershed development was really addressing the need was, is there distress migration? Because watershed development was improving soil conservation and water availability. So people should have water available for the second crop at least, and therefore they should not go on distress migration or less. However, in the year 2002 or so, we started seeing distress migration.
Marcella correlated this with changes in the weather patterns.
We found the year 2000, 2001, 2002, and 2003. We had 4 consecutive years of drought and drought-like conditions. That was the time we said, something is not right. The area is used to having a drought year every 3 to 4 years. That was the norm. But 4 consecutive years of drought and drought-like conditions, we observed water supplying the whole district of Ahmednagar in tankers almost for this entire period. Not normal.
So they started talking to partners abroad, in Switzerland, to understand what was going on.
Then we started hearing about climate change, or rather weather variability. We called it weather variability.
As Marcella said right at the start, watershed development was dependent on conserving water that was falling freely from the sky. But what happens to the program when the rain itself becomes unreliable?
न्यूज़पेपर में एक्चुअली वो कैसे था कि ग्लोबल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में किस प्रकार से बदलाव हो रहा है ये बातें चल रही थी, लेकिन पर्टिकुलरली रूरल एरियाज़ में उसके असर क्या हो सकते हैं, क्या रिस्क रहेंगे, अडॉप्टिव मेजर और मिटिगेशन मेजर्स क्या उसमें हो सकते हैं, ये तब तक एक्चुअली वैसे कुछ थॉट प्रोसेस मन में नहीं थी.
Abhijit says that back then, they had a general sense of what climate change was, but they couldn't easily correlate it to people's experiences on the ground.
कि जो हम बात कर रहे हैं ग्रीन हाउस इफेक्ट की या फॉसिल फ्यूल की, बेसिकली ये ग्लोबल लेवल पे बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन गांव के लोग मिट्टी का कटाव, पानी, क्रॉप लॉस, पेस्ट इंक्रीजेस, इनके लिए वो ज़्यादा सोच रहे हैं. उसका असर लोगों के ऊपर क्या हो रहा है गांव के लोगों को, वो एक्चुअली वो भी एक्सपीरियंस कर रहे थे, लेकिन वो क्यों हो रहे हैं और उसको क्या टर्मिनोलॉजी किस प्रकार से आगे रखनी है, शायद इसमें कुछ अंतर सा था.
The concept was new to everyone, but people were already experiencing it. So it took some time to be able to get through to people about it.
पहले लोगों को लगता था कि हाँ ये होता है, ऐसा होता है, वैसा होता है, आप नया क्या बता रहे हैं, लेकिन उसके पीछे की जो रूट कॉज है या उसमें आने वाले प्रेडिक्टेबल रिस्क क्या रह सकते हैं, ये जब पता चलते तो लोग थोड़ा सा सीरियसली उन्होंने लेना शुरू किया था.
To be able to take better action on those predictive risks, the team needed data.
We put up the first automated weather stations in 3 villages. The first agenda was, to get the people to have these automated weather stations in the village and be protected by the people. I have to say, they lived up to our expectation and beyond. Even the children could tell other children of other villages, don't touch it. This is what it does.
And people could use that data to make decisions about how to change their cropping patterns or look after their animals under changing weather conditions. In other words, they could adapt.
तो एक एग्जांपल मैं देना चाहूँगा, वरुड़ी पठार में एक्चुअली हमने वो एग्रोमेट स्टेशन बिठाए थे. तो बेसिकली एग्रोमेट स्टेशन की कॉन्सेप्ट ये थी कि लोगों को लोकल क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस क्या है, वेदर कंडीशंस क्या है, ये डे टू डे पता चले और उसके अनुरूप वो क्रॉप मैनेजमेंट कर ले. लेकिन वहाँ के कुछ पोल्ट्री फार्म ओनर जो थे वो हर बार आकर टेम्परेचर चेक करते थे. आपको भी पता होगा कि एक पर्टिकुलर टेम्परेचर जो है वो बर्ड्स के ग्रोथ के लिए मेंटेन रखना बहुत ज़रूरी है. उनका बारिश कितना है या विंड स्पीड कितना है उसके ऊपर ज़्यादा वो फोकस नहीं करते थे. एक्चुअली तब मुझे पता चला कि लोग एक्चुअली जो हम बिठा रहे हैं या जो टेक्नोलॉजीज हम प्रमोट कर रहे हैं उसका इस्तेमाल खुद के फायदे के लिए मैं नहीं कहूँगा, लेकिन वो जो कुछ कर रहे हैं वो किस प्रकार से सस्टेन हो इसके लिए वो करते हैं और उस प्रकार से वो सोच भी रहे हैं. तो अल्टीमेटली जो हम काम कर रहे हैं वो उनकी रेजिलियंसी बढ़ रही.
This pilot in 3 villages eventually grew out into a full-fledged program on climate change adaptation, or CCA, supported by NABARD, which is the National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, and the Swiss Development Corporation. This program included watershed development, climate-smart agriculture, disaster risk reduction, clean energy, weather-based crop advisories, and more.
But incidentally, it was not just addressing climate change. we also realized the value of doing the conservation of the biodiversity. And we had the biodiversity registers. We did a lot of tools we prepared. The People's Biodiversity Register, prepared at that time and endorsed by the state government.
Marcella mentioned People's Biodiversity Registers, an initiative by the Indian government to help communities catalog biodiversity in their area. Water worked with local people to prepare these registers, to raise awareness about the need to protect their ecosystems.
क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट एग्रीकल्चर के कॉन्सेप्ट हमने बड़े पैमाने पे इम्प्लीमेंट करना उस समय कोशिश की थी। उसके साथ साथ बायोडाइवर्सिटी का ये एक पार्ट था कि लोकल बायोडाइवर्सिटी का कंजर्व करना क्यों ज़रूरी है हमारे लिए। तो बायोडाइवर्सिटी के एस्पेक्ट से कि एग्रीकल्चर बायोडाइवर्सिटी हो या बर्ड डाइवर्सिटी हो या फॉरेस्ट डाइवर्सिटी हो, अगर लोगों को हम सेंसिटाइज कर पाते तो एटलीस्ट वो रिस्टोरेशन वाला जो पार्ट है वो हम आसानी के साथ लोगों के सामने रख सकते हैं और लोगों को मोबिलाइज कर सकते हैं कि आने वाले 10-15 साल में आपको आपके पास जो है, अगर आप वो कम से कम कंजर्व भी करते हैं तो भी क्लाइमेट चेंज के जो लॉसेस या जो रिस्क है वो आप मिनिमाइज करने में बहुत सारा कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं। और ये भी अच्छी बात थी कि लोग भी खुलकर बात करने लगे थे। बेसिकली जो इंडिजियस नॉलेज जो है फील्ड का वो भी हम ट्रैप कर रहे थे उस समय।
And the program turned out to be pretty successful. In fact, it was recently selected as one of 10 global case studies in the flagship drought report by the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, or UNCCD.
Our case study that was implemented in the Climate Change Adaptation Project, we could bring out evidence of the economic returns, which was 3.5 to 3.9 times more in the villages which were treated as compared to villages that were not treated.
Despite rising climate stress, the villages that participated in the CCA project are economically better off than the villages that didn't. So, it worked. Abhijit attributes the success of the program to the diversity of stakeholders that were involved.
तो मैं ऐसा कहूँगा कि जब ये काम शुरू हुआ क्लाइमेट चेंज का तो ये 3 लेयर पे था। एक्सपर्ट अपनी राय रखते थे, इम्प्लीमेंटेटर एग्जीक्यूटर अपने परिप्रेक्ष्य में उसको देखते थे और गांव वाले क्या होना चाहिए क्या नहीं होना चाहिए ये भी हमें बता रहे थे। तो अल्टीमेटली मैं कहूँगा कि वाटर सक्सेसफुल क्यों हो रहा है तो इन तीनों का अच्छी तरीके से सिनर्जाइज करके एक रोड मैप बनाने में इन तीनों का कंट्रीब्यूशन इक्वल है बेसिकली।
So 4 years of successive droughts spurred a change in the organization's thinking and made climate adaptation a priority. But where did this thinking around biodiversity come from? It isn't as straightforward as it may seem. In the first decade of watershed development, water planted trees to recharge groundwater. But in the turning point that Marcella spoke about in the early 2000s, questions started to arise.
We were reforesting the degraded forest lands, but we had a big issue to address. The farmers would set out their cattle to go and graze the land, and with that, the trees that were planted would be grazed. But in addressing that issue, we decided to grow saplings of trees that were not native to the area. And later on, we said, oh, we should have done it differently. Because we need to be more aligned with nature, because the forest and the ecology of the forest has its own role within the ecosystem and the soil health, which we didn't consider that time. We look only from the perspective of soil conservation, water conservation, which was fundamental. That helped us to bridge the gap with the people. But later on, once that was there, we said, we should have done it better.
There were a lot of questions about which kinds of trees should be planted and where.
You know, when we looked at the land classification that came down historically, there was a lot of land that was classified as unculturable wasteland. So we said, okay, this is unculturable wasteland. Let's at least put trees so that the trees could force the water underground. Today, when we look back, we said, those were the grasslands that we have converted into tree cover. Now we know that these are the things we have to change. And we are relearning, and we are going to explore areas to see how we can restore grasslands wherever possible. So that's where we learned that we have to be willing to explore and not be afraid to say that we've made a mistake.
This realization would lead to a paradigm shift within the organization. And it was something that every member of the team had to reckon with.
मैं ऐसा कहूँगा कि सबसे बड़ी बात हुई कि वाटरियन का अप्रोच जो है वो चेंज हुआ. जब वाटरशेड की बात करते थे तो मैं ऐसा कहूँगा कि जो ह्यूमन बीइंग है वो सेंट्रिक थे हमारे, कि पानी उनके लिए चाहिए, खेती उनके लिए चाहिए, जानवर उनके लिए चाहिए. लेकिन आहिस्ता इस तरह से पता चला तो जितने भी हम काम कर रहे हैं वहाँ खुद की एक इकोसिस्टम हम रिस्टोर कर रहे हैं. जैसे अगर हम पौधे लगा रहे हैं तो फॉरेस्ट इकोसिस्टम वहाँ जो है वो रीजनरेशन का काम हम कर रहे हैं. तो मैं कहूँगा कि सबसे बड़ी बात एज इम्प्लीमेंटेटर या एग्जीक्यूटर मैं वही कहूँगा कि मुझे मेरी लेंस बदलने का मौका इस प्रोजेक्ट ने दिया था पहले.
We were very clear that while we were doing watershed development at the time when we began, we were addressing the resource use. How do we use the soil? I'm using it very crudely, but I'll still use the word use. And we were looking at water use. And we knew we had to manage water. But then, gradually in the process, we realized we are also a part of nature. We don't use nature only from an anthropogenic perspective, but the Anthropocene is a part of nature which we have forgotten.
At the core of this realization was recognizing that every place is unique, with its own ecological niche, and needs to be treated differently.
You have the climate layer, you have the temperature. We looked at rainfall, we didn't realize temperature, which we consider now. You look at the topography, you look at the soil quality, you look at the soil health, you look at the hydrology, you look at the geology, which is very different from the hydrology. And over that, you have people who are surviving, and different types of people who are surviving, and different cultures of the people. How do you bring this all together? Understanding this and the uniqueness made us realize we still needed and still have a lot to learn. That's what triggered us to start off our research unit.
Fast forward to 2019. WCRES, Water's research vertical, is up and running. And they've just been invited by a German think tank called TMG to collaborate on a project.
We were not clear about the ecosystem-based adaptation perspective. We called it climate change adaptation, with biodiversity being an important component. Okay. But around early 2019, we were approached by the TMG Research, a German institute, who was exploring organizations that were working on ecosystem-based adaptation. And when they spoke to us, we said, hey, this is exactly what we were looking for.
Marcella recalls that around the same time, Water was undergoing a rebranding exercise and running into roadblocks.
When this agency was discussing with us about our brand, we talked about land restoration, we talked about agriculture, we talked about water, we talked about people, we talked about climate change, and they said, you can't do everything. You have to decide whether you want to focus on water or you want to focus on agriculture. And we said, we can't do water without doing the landscape, and we can't manage water without people having good agriculture productivity, and we can't do agriculture productivity without this. And we said, this has to be together.
But through their work with TMG, they realized there was a way to bring it all together.
Suddenly, these isolated, I'm calling them activities of agriculture and water and land management, suddenly they had a convergence in this name called ecosystem-based adaptation.
Ecosystem-based adaptation, or EBA, became the umbrella term that could fit this entire spectrum within its three pillars.
So the three pillars are, the first one is strengthening the different aspects of the ecosystem. The land, the water, the biodiversity, and nature all around there. The second pillar is on climate change adaptation, helping the community to be able to adapt to climate change. Also to ensure that the people who benefit from this climate change adaptation are all the households that live there, particularly the marginal households and women. And the third pillar is the local governance. We believe very strongly that ecology can be best governed by the people who live there. So governance by the local community in an inclusive committee, including gender and marginalized, and ensuring that everybody benefits from this.
At its core, the EBA approach recognizes that people need nature, not as something to be used, but something that needs to thrive to ensure their own survival.
ग्रामीण परिप्रेक्ष्य की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो जो प्राइमरी स्टेक होल्डर जिसके ऊपर डिपेंडेंट है उनको पर्याप्त मात्रा में पानी चाहिए, अच्छी खेती के लिए अच्छी मिट्टी चाहिए, और जिस वो इकोसिस्टम में रह रही है वो हेल्दी होनी चाहिए. अगर आहिस्ता आहिस्ता वो डिग्रेड हो जाते हैं तो उसका इम्पैक्ट उनके डे टू डे लाइफ पे होता ही है.
The further we move away from the ground, the more we start to see these things as separate. Marcella gives the example of a panel she spoke on at UNCCD's COP16 in Riyadh. This panel highlighted that having 3 separate global conferences on climate, biodiversity, and land degradation means we end up looking at these issues in isolation. But in reality,
I was asked to talk, what is it from the ground level? At the ground, all these conventions merge. There is no difference between climate change and your land that is degraded and managing water and people at the center and strengthening the biodiversity. They all merged.
And that's really the heart of the EBA approach. While the terminology may be new, the wisdom of it is age-old and in desperate need of attention in our modern world. So water is intent on scaling it up.
We have the opportunity currently to work very closely with the government of Maharashtra with the support of another donor, the ICC. Hopefully it is going to be signed soon that ecosystem-based adaptation is going to be a part of the State Action Plan for Climate Change Adaptation.
WCRES and Water, supported by the India Climate Collaborative, have been working with the Maharashtra government to help them integrate this kind of ecosystem-first thinking into their decision-making. And of course, EcoBari is an avenue to build knowledge sharing and bring more people into the space.
जैसे वाटरशेड में हम अकेले काम कर रहे थे, वाटर का जो खुद की टेक्नोलॉजीज है वही हम आगे ले जा रहे हैं, लेकिन EBA में हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हमारे जो पार्टनर्स हैं हमारे ग्लोबल लेवल पे हो या नेशनल लेवल पे हो, उनको भी हम इकट्ठा लेने का एक प्लेटफॉर्म हमने EcoBari के तहत क्रिएट किया है. उससे हमें अलग अलग परसेप्शंस भी पता चलेंगे.
So all in all, it's been a long road with a lot of twists and turns along the way. From early years of watershed work to a new focus on restoring nature, it's truly been a wild ride. Thanks for listening to In Our Nature. If you like this episode, please share it far and wide to help us get the word out there. We're super grateful for your support and your attention. EcoBari stands for Ecosystem-Based Adaptation for Resilient Incomes. Our collaborative aims to spotlight and enable solutions that build climate resilience and sustainable livelihoods by restoring, protecting, and enhancing nature. It's a shared initiative of 9 founding partners with diverse areas of expertise, including rural development, action research, sustainable finance, nature conservation, and policy engagement. To learn more about EcoBari, visit our website at www.ecobari.org.